Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're diving into something really cool, especially for all the educators out there. It's called Chrono Crisis. Now, when you hear escape room, you probably think about breaking out, right? Well, this one's a little different. The goal here is to break into the secret of using classroom technology in a way that actually truly matters.
So let me just ask you this straight up. Is the tech in your classroom just another tool, or is it a genuine teaching partner? I mean, for so many teachers, especially when they're just starting out, this is the big question. It is so easy to just use tech as a flashy add-on, but how do we make it a fundamental part of learning, a true partner?
Well, believe it or not, the answer might just be hiding inside a game. Today, we are going to deconstruct this very unique escape room Chrono Crisis. It was designed specifically for teacher candidates to model exactly how you can transform technology from a simple tool into that powerful teaching partner we're all aiming for.
And this really gets at a central paradox in modern teaching. We are swimming in more technology than ever before, but using it effectively, making it really count for learning instead of just being a fun gimmick, that's a huge challenge. And it's not something you can just wing. You need a solid plan.
Okay, so what's the plan? Well, it's called the Triple E framework. You can think of this as the blueprint, the model that helps us design and evaluate tech-rich lessons that are actually effective. And as the name suggests, it's all built on 3 core pillars.
The first E is engagement. And honestly, this is the foundation. We have to ask ourselves, does this tech actually pull students in? Does it make them active participants instead of just passive observers? Because let's be real, if the tech can't grab and hold their focus on the learning goals, the other 2 E's just aren't going to matter.
Next up, we have enhancement. This is where tech adds value that you just couldn't get otherwise. We're not talking about substituting a paper worksheet with a digital one. No, we're talking about using tech to help students build a much deeper, more sophisticated understanding of the material.
And finally, there's extension. This is the crucial link to the real world. Does the technology help build a bridge between the concepts in the classroom and your students' actual lives? It's all about making learning feel authentic and relevant.
So now that we've got the theory down, let's see how these 3 E's actually come to life. We are going inside Chrono Crisis, an escape room where the mission isn't just to escape, but to save the very future of learning. No pressure.
And here's the game app. It's quite a journey. So the whole premise is that something called the time core, which is really a metaphor for a balanced, effective lesson plan, has shattered. The players, who are all teachers in training, have to travel through different eras of education, solving puzzles to get back to 3 lost fragments of the core: engagement, enhancement, and extension.
The game kicks off with a really clever onboarding puzzle, a scrambled timeline of key moments in ed tech. Players have to put everything in the right order, which immediately gets them thinking about history and theory. For example, they have to know to place the introduction of the TPACK framework in 2006. That's that key model for balancing technology, pedagogy, and content knowledge. It perfectly sets the stage for everything that's about to come.
So let's see how this whole framework is built directly into the game's structure. The core of the experience is broken down into 3 acts, and you've probably already guessed it. Each act is a hands-on simulation of one of the 3 E's.
Act 1 zaps players into the year 2050, and things are pretty bleak. The classrooms are lifeless, and the students are completely disengaged. Their mission is to solve what the game calls the engagement rift and get back that first piece of the time core.
And this is just a brilliant way to connect theory to practice. The very first puzzle is a Caesar cipher, and here's the catch. Players have to solve it together. Why? Because when they crack it, the decoded message is a foundational quote from the learning theorist Vygotsky. Learning is a social process. The puzzle itself forces them to experience the very principle they're uncovering.
So, and this is the crucial part, players don't just find the answer and move on. Nope, they have to apply it immediately. Their next task is to take that very principle and use it to design and role-play a short, engaging lesson for that futuristic AI classroom. It's an instant proof of understanding.
Okay, so after fixing the future, players get sent way back in time to an 1890s classroom. Think rigid, rote learning. Here in Act 2, they've got to tackle enhancement. They have to figure out how to introduce technology that actually deepens understanding, without completely breaking the timeline.
Now, what's really interesting here is a puzzle called the quiz lock. To get the next piece of the time core, players have to answer questions about the pedagogy behind the technology.
They need to know why visual tools work by citing dual coding theory, the idea that our brains process verbal and visual info separately. The game literally forces them to justify their tech choices with learning science.
The final act jumps us way into the future, to 2150, where a saboteur AI has completely automated education, stripping away all human connection and real-world relevance. The mission here is to fix the extension collapse and prove that learning needs that bridge to real life.
The final challenges are all about extension. Players have to solve riddles about the difference between just knowing a fact versus truly learning something. Then they have to physically build a knowledge bridge using blocks with words like collaboration and creativity. And for the final showdown, they have to use everything they've learned to pitch a whole new human-centered school model to that skeptical AI. It's a direct application of knowledge to a complex problem. So after the game is won, the timeline is saved, but the most important part is just beginning. For the teacher candidates playing, the real lasting learning gets cemented in the reflection that happens after the clock stops.
The entire experience wraps up with a guided pedagogical debrief, and this is the absolutely crucial step where all the game's abstract challenges get intentionally connected to the concrete, practical realities of planning a lesson and managing a real classroom.
In this debrief, they talk about how that cipher puzzle is just like creating an engaging hook for a lesson, or how that debate with the AI is a model for project-based learning. They translate the Triple E framework from a game mechanic into an actual, actionable strategy for their own lesson planning. So when you get right down to it, Chrono Crisis isn't just a game, it's an interactive model. It gives teachers a hands-on, memorable experience of what it actually feels like to design intentional, technology-rich lessons that truly serve the learning goals.
And that leaves us with one final question for you. When you think about your own teaching practice, what are the essential elements, the engagement, enhancement, and extension that are going to make up the stable time core of your next lesson? How will you make sure your technology is a true teaching partner?